Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Green Arrow FPL podcast from Fantasy Football Hub as we say goodbye to the international break and hello to Game Week 4. My name is Fergi, and with Rich on holiday. Rich is actually in the chat. He says, I'm joining from my Madeira balcony. Let's do this. So Rich is on holiday, but I'm joined by the fantastic host of many of the videos on this channel. It's a real pleasure to welcome Jack Ukiah. Jack, how are you? And how is your season going so far?
I'm good, thanks, mate. Thank you very much for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm trying to decide, would I rather be here or would I rather be with Rich on his balcony?
Yeah, I would rather be with Rich. I'd leave you here by yourself. If Rich was like, Fergie, ditch Jack, come up and have a glass of wine with me on my balcony, you'd be on your own, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Yeah, my season's been pretty rubbish so far, I would say. I mean, I don't think I've ever been ranked as low as this in my years of playing. 4.5 million,
Oh.
not great. I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I can't remember being as low as this. But it's just been quite a weird start to the season for me personally. I'm still not, and I think this is going to be a theme of this stream. I'm still not 100% sure what exactly is going on in the FPL landscape this year. So I'm just trying to sort of work that out right now. But yeah, 4.5 million, the rank sort of speaks for itself.
I don't think 4.5 million is as bad as it sounds. We obviously chatted last week ahead of Game Week 3. I think you were 3 million-ish then, and I think you actually felt then that you were having a fairly good start to the season. There's a lot of very experienced players. A lot of the experts are sort of ranked between 3 and 7 million. In some cases still, and some of them are say they're happy with their rank. It has been a strange old start. We'll talk about that now in a bit about kind of things we think. I've got things we know, but I think it should be retitled probably things we think we know, because I still don't think we know an awful lot. It's been a bizarre start to season, as you say. But 42 points last game week. You captain Chris Wood. What a fool you are, Jack. How can you captain?
Well, I blame you. I blame you for this. I blame you. Yeah, I brought Wood in, captained him. I mean, if you look at the rest of my team, who else really was I going to captain? It was between him and Salah. I didn't have that Man United slot. And I was actually quite close, now that I remember back, to bringing in Cunha and captaining him. I would have done that.
Wow.
So, yeah, it could have been worse. So,
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think, game week 1, I think the majority were on Salah, rightly, and I obviously hedged against that with the triple Liverpool attack. But part of the reason I didn't go Salah game week 1 because I didn't fancy the Newcastle away trip in game week 2. Obviously, we got the assist there, and I didn't fancy Arsenal. And you're absolutely right. Is last week, if you just looked pretty objectively, apart from things like predicted points and stuff, Wood, I think, was as good as picking anyone. And and for me, actually, we'll touch on my team in a second. He was the standout choice, as I backed significantly with, but I don't blame for Wood at all. I think the only thing which put me off slightly was that he had been coming off for like 75, 80 minutes, which obviously happened again, which was frustrating. But I think he had like maybe half a chance. But other than that, he didn't have a lot today, which was disappointing. But your team looks in really good shape, going forward. You've obviously got Sa, who will probably be a problem for you this week, assuming he's out. But other than that, mate, you've got a pretty template team, and you're ahead of the template in terms of having Semenyo. I think he's a highly transferred player in this week. You got Rhiners on the bench, maybe. You'll be starting Rhiners this week. So no, I think you can show, mate.
Well, I brought in Semenyo and Wood. I'm pretty sure. Actually, you know what? I tried to forget about my team over the international break. Let me just check exactly what I did. Yeah, I brought in Semenyo for Palmer, who was obviously out, and then Wood in for Mark Guiu, whatever his name is, Guiu. Guiu, I think is his actual pronunciation of his name. So yeah, the transfers didn't pay off. But again, the team looks okay. I don't feel that inspired by my team, though. I don't feel like there aren't that many players in there that I'm excited about their fixtures, or I go into a game thinking, oh, this is going to there's whole potential here. Maybe I'm just being a little bit negative.
Let's have a chat in a second about all this, because I'm really interested, because I think a lot of people are feeling the same, that FPL, I think, and I've been saying this all preseason, I think
Yeah.
FPL has changed. I think the whole game has changed. It just be interesting to see, if we can, if we can unpack that a bit in in a bit. Good afternoon to everyone in the chat. Packed lobby as usual. Great to have everyone back. Everyone's buzzing by the look of it. FPL Gaza's back. Ian McLaughlin says, "Good morning from sunny Las Vegas." Would you rather be in Vegas or Madeira? I'm not sure. Probably it's a tough one. Depends what you're after from a
Yeah, it really
from a
does. It depends
break.
on you as a person. Yeah.
It does. It does. It says a lot about Rich and Ian there, I think. Ron is in from San Francisco, but I know Ron lives there. Ross Johnson is in. Gary Banjo Sandwich says it's his birthday. Happy birthday, Gary. I'm 1974 says afternoon spaffers. We are dusting the Spaff-O-Meter off in a couple of minutes' time. Helga is in from Norway. Alan is in. John Tyner says good afternoon. Joining from hospital. I hope you're okay there, John. Claire FPL is in. FPL Freddy. Ross Johnson, Aaron, and so many more. Gareth Bennett is in doing golf lessons. He's able to watch live in between lessons. He did the Wood transfer and captain as well. I mean, who would advise that?
Yeah.
But yeah, Owen Sinclair is in, and so many others. Great to have you with us, everyone. Let's have a quick look at my team. I had an absolute disaster. So after all my bragging and bigging up over the first 2 weeks, I cracked in a 35-pointer last week. So I dropped from 69k to 649k, 10x my rank. But obviously, I think I touched on it last week, but I triple captained Chris Wood, and I've got to be honest, the way my kind of outlook on this season, the outlook I play the game is, I would do the same again in an absolute heartbeat. Because one, I think that it was, he had decent points potential anyway, but I'm trying to play FPL this season how I play the other fantasy games. So I have a lot of success in other fantasy games. It's because I play a certain way, and I'm trying to do it this way. I kind of hedge and then look for position to attack. And I thought, what a week! A really low owned Chris Wood, who has been on fire the last season. Anyone who says he hasn't is just wrong. I'm sorry. He braced at home in game week 1. He had the plum fixture home to West Ham in game week 3. I'd hedged out against all the other players. I won concerned of Salah against Arsenal. As you mentioned earlier, there wasn't really another standout option, really. I know a couple went for João Pedro, but Wood for me was the man, And imagine, Jack, that Chris Wood had got 1 return, 2 returns, right? And all of a sudden, that 6
Your
points
rank
changes to 27, 35, 40. I would have been probably in the top 10k minimum, right? Well, I don't know what top. And that is the reason why. That is the reason why I would play that move over and over again, is because I got myself into a position to get lucky. I didn't get lucky, but you know what? Top 100k for me this season. I've kind of decided it doesn't mean anything to me. It's just like my thing on it is, why would I aspire to be the 100,000th best person at anything in the world? I'm just going to go for it, and I'll continue to do so. So that's kind of story of my week. I didn't have any kind of luck or points anywhere really outside of João Pedro, but we move. The Spaff-O-Meter. I don't even think I need to ask the chat here really. I had a bench boost, smashed it in game week 1, 29 points, but a blanking triple captain. I think it's very, very fair to say that was a spaff. If you disagree, which I'm sure you don't, but if you do, please put in the chat, and also let us know in the chat how your season is going and what your plans are for the coming weeks. But we have a big fat spaff. I'm sure Rich
already there.
It's already there, mate. It's not even a question. I'm sure Rich is sat in the balcony
seconds.
now with his wine doing that. What's that film with the meme with Leonardo DiCaprio where he's laughing?
Great Gatsby, I think, isn't it? Oh no, is it?
No,
is it Django?
I think it might be Django.
I think it's Django, isn't it? Yeah,
like that is Rich at the moment on his balcony going. He's looking at my spaff. But there we go. Rich is all he's got his chips to play. So yeah, just before we look forward, Jack, just a bit of a look back. I put a question out on X this week, and I just said, what do we know or what have we learned in these opening weeks? I had a bit of feedback. Thanks to everyone who replied. These are three I sort of picked out, and the first one was Defcon, so defensive contributions. Have significantly tilted the games. This was sent in by CBN, who's a very, very experienced fantasy player who also plays other games where Defcons have been in for quite a while.
Oh, okay.
What are your thoughts on it, Jack, as it stands? I know it's early days.
Yeah. I think they have. I mean, we knew they were gonna be a pretty big thing, I think, in preseason, but I think that they are more of a thing than we thought they were gonna be because of the overlap of good FPL options that have always been good, not like individual players, but that
Yeah,
style of player, but also players like that that also can get defcons as well. I think there's less of a disparity between good, like, attacking FPL options that get assists and stuff, and then the players that aren't really that good FPL options, but then would only get the defcons. I think there's
yeah,
actually a bigger sort of middle group of players that I think do well for both those sort of things. I'm thinking of players like Bruno Fernandes, a lot of like the mid-price midfielders out of nowhere are suddenly getting up to sort of the 12 defcons you need. Even like a Porro, for example, last week, it doesn't do anything in the game from an FPL perspective, but comes away with 4 points.
yeah, yeah,
And
exactly.
if that sort of thing is repeatable, which maybe it is, maybe it isn't, and that's one of the things that I'm not sure about yet is
Yeah,
how consistent these defcons are going to be. But if they are relatively consistent, then I think it is a massive part of the game. I'm thinking about players like Murillo, though, who last season was an absolute defcon monster,
yeah,
and then all of a sudden this season he's barely even got enough defensive contributions to get to the threshold
yeah,
across the 3 games, let alone in one. So I'm sort of questioning like how much we can read into the first 3 games here, but then also how much do we like look back at last season. So I'm still not sure about that. But yeah, that's why I'm not 100% saying they're massive, but I
yeah.
do think yeah, give it a few more weeks and we'll see the players that are consistently doing it most weeks or, 60% of the weeks. And for those players, it is a big change. So we have to be aware of it. And I think it has to be a big part of our thinking.
I think so as well. I think playing the dream team game in particular, where where you get points for different actions outside of goal and assist. We've been playing that for years, and you pick players. Sometimes it's the first thing you think of because they're called sort of like
Wow.
ghost points. We have 'em in other forms as well, like in fan tracks and other styles of games where a player is almost guaranteed a set number of points before they do anything else. And they're the kind of players. It was a player like Eze from last year because it was he did lots of dribbles and things, and he was guaranteed those every single week, regardless of of who they
Right.
play,
Yeah.
regardless if he scored or anything. You almost got this set of ghost points before you even started to kind of play. And if you can get say for example, you get 3 players a week, which I think is relatively achievable in terms of if you pick 3 or 4 defenders who had a propensity for these defcons and maybe a midfielder as well. I think 6 points a week is probably fair to envisage. That's like 10% of a weekly average of points, which is like 60, right? And you average that
Mm.
over a whole season, you're talking hundreds of points. So I think you're right, definitely, in terms of I'm not quite sure who they are yet. Obviously, there's signs, and we'll touch on the DefCon monsters so far next. But I do think you're right. I still think we need another sort of 2 or 3 weeks. And if the same players we're talking about keep hitting them every single week, it's I think it's that team's style of play, and
Yeah.
it's very unlikely that they're going to change the style of play from this if, from this part of the season onwards. It will be this is how we're going to play this season. But I think it's massive, and I think it will be overlooked. And I think that it's not something that every week you'll go, oh, this player's scoring 20 more points than me. What's going on? It'll be we've got very similar teams. Why am I 30 points behind after 10 game weeks, or sort of thing? I think it'll be that gentle sort of ebb of points that will be unnoticeable. But yeah, that's my views on Defcon. Double chips have changed Mon strategy forever, which was something else
Well,
we
this is
had
this is
in.
all you. This is all you, and you've been saying this from when the game was pretty much launched, right?
Yeah, I think that, and I think I underestimated actually how big the bench boost in game week 1 would be. And
Mm.
don't get me wrong, I was fortunate. I had 15 players playing in game week 1. I think that's what people were nervous about, is how do you know who's going to play? I think we kind of know, right? I was lucky to have all 15, definitely, but I think you're lucky to have all 15 in a single game week, regardless, because there's always some random injury or or kind of dropping or resting anyway. But the one thing that I didn't really think about moving forward was my initial plan was to bench boost in game week 1. I was then going to like free hit in game week 2, wildcard in game week 4. One thing I didn't really think about is because I made such a balanced team for the bench boost in terms of my bench boost for game week 1 included 8 Nori and Reinders, right?
Yeah.
It was a strong all round team. Is that when I moved to game week 2, looking at my team, all of a sudden I had someone like 8 Nori and Reinders already who had smashed the previous week. And I'm like, well, hang on, I'm thinking free hitting now, but actually I've got a really strong all round team. And the same for game week 3. It didn't work out in game week 3 because the alternate players who I've got smashed it and mine didn't. But going to game week 4 now, for example, I'm looking now. I'm like, there's no way I'm wildcarding the free hitting because I've got a
Yeah.
strong team. I think it's an element of luck there, but I also think it's when you can bench boost in game week 1 and have a top team, your team carries on and on then for weeks and weeks. Whereas a lot of people are now struggling to even get 11 players out, on the pitch. I've got benching headaches, so there's a lot of fortune in there. I'm not going to say it's all by design. There's a lot of fortune in there, but I think next season made game week 1. I think 80% of engaged managers will be
Yeah.
bench
Well,
boosting.
this is what you've been. This is what you were saying. I think a lot will depend on what happens in game week 5, because I think a lot of managers, I'm almost definitely going to bench boost in game week 5.
Yeah,
So I think that will be the point where you can sort of compare.
yeah, that's fair.
But
That's fair.
I don't know. I think like as the season progresses, and you don't want to sort of use your wild card to then bench boost in the first half of the season. I know we do that in the second half, but I don't think that's the right thing to do in the first half of the season.
Yeah, agreed.
You are risking not having those 15 players more and more. I think. I do think. And I know Gaming One, like last season, we had all the Kwanzaa and Nkunku stuff.
Yeah, of
This
course.
season, we didn't really have that.
No.
But if you know you're going to bench boost and you just then do pick players that you know are nailed, then I think you do have a good chance of nailing 15 players. And it worked out for you. And I also like the fact that you were flexible with your chip strategy after that, because you had that plan in place, like you were
Yeah, of
saying,
course.
but the team was well set up. You don't have to use the chips.
So yeah, I think it's changed, and I think maybe wrongly that people were honest with themselves that they would have preferred to have done that now because I understand this bench was game week 5, bench was game week 7 or 8. I mean, what are you hoping for, right?
I don't know. I like my
Are you
game. My
hoping for
game at
10?
5 bench boost looks good. I'm quite happy with it.
Who's your
We
bench
can have
for
a look
game
at it.
week 10? Go
I'm
on.
hoping for about
Who
50
is
to
it?
60 points, mate.
Fifth? What, off the bench? Really?
Not really, no.
No,
But I
no.
mean, I think I'd still hope for anything above 10 to 15.
Yeah,
And a
that's
single
fair.
game week is very, very good.
Of course, agree. Yeah, I think some of the side effects as well that I hadn't thought about. Well, I thought about a couple of them. Was now I don't have to worry about a bench boost, which for me,
Yeah.
and I do think is kind of individual manager sort of personality, right? When the chips are there, they always weigh heavy on me every week. It's like, should I be using them? Should I be using? And then when I have a really good bench week, but I haven't bench boosted, it plays in my mind. I have
Mm.
negative sort of thoughts around it. It's now like when I wildcard or whenever I wildcard, don't have to think about bench boost at all. And that I really prefer that. And I also prefer playing from a position of strength as well. So I think I'm taking a hit this week. Now,
Wow.
it's very different taking a hit when you're 8 million and you're 40 points off the pace and you're going another 4 points behind to when you're in front. You've got a bit of a cushion and you can sort of strengthen your teams. We'll talk about the exact hit in a bit, but again, I think it's manager psychology, and I think that my own thing is I like to be in front. I like to be on the front foot. You need luck, right? And I've had it this season so far, but I'm hoping I can keep going and keep it going. And Rich's points, which he put in, transfers are hugely valuable and should not be wasted. So, your thoughts on that, Jack?
What
So far, anyway.
is Rich saying that in regards to this season or just in general? Do you know?
In general, I
Yeah.
think
Okay.
he added on something like, "Is no one patient anymore?"
Right.
Obviously, Rich is he's one of the best managers ever, a very traditional manager, but always does well every season, right? And he's a
Yeah.
very patient manager. So, it's kind of very contrary to my approach this year. And no doubt, I've got no doubt there'll be a period in the season where Rich comes back, right, and smashes me, right? But I think his question is about the patience side. Do you think that still, in terms of, I suppose answering the question is, has the game changed that much? Do you
Yeah.
think it's changed that much now, or not? I suppose,
Well,
asking you.
well, this is the thing. I think I'd be lying if I said that I know the answer to that after 3 weeks, which is why,
Yeah,
like, I haven't.
a
I'm
really
not
good,
sure
really
about
good point.
wildcarding yet, even though I don't necessarily love my team. It's not doing super well. I know it's doing fine, but yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that yet. I think I'm a pretty similar manager to Rich.
Yeah.
I didn't take a hit last year at all, for example.
Didn't take one hit all season.
No,
Goodness.
didn't take a hit. I don't know. I just think, like, there's so much that can happen with any individual transfer, unless it's. I think there are only like a very few specific set of circumstances where a hit is worthwhile, and I actually do think that the vast majority of the time, it's better to be patient, and there are other options elsewhere that you could do that might be better long term than taking a hit. Uh, I don't know. I'm quite risk averse, I think, with fantasy in general. That is generally
Yeah.
my play style. So maybe that leans into it a little bit. But I think in this season in particular, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure if the rule changes mean that hits are more valuable. I don't think that can be true
Yeah.
because points are just points.
Yeah.
I also think, like, we're getting a lot more free transfers given to us anyway. So why would we take hits on top of that? We're getting the rolling free transfers, which are only a new thing. We're getting the
Yeah.
5 um, free transfers in Game Week 16 for AFCON, and we're getting another triple captainship and another free hit chip, which is pretty much like a new full set of well, the free hit chip is a new full set of transfers. So yeah, again, I don't know enough yet, but I would agree with Rich that I don't think that much has changed this season.
It's really interesting that yourself and Rich, I think it seems to me that you're using these new chips to almost top up the points of your traditional play to just get a few extra points. It feels like
Yeah.
in this first half of the season
That is
anyway.
that no, that is actually what it is. That yeah, I think that's I
Whereas
think that's I
I
think that's
think
accurate.
I'm playing to
Yeah.
try and really take advantage of the upside of those extra chips and be really aggressive with it. And there's no right answer because, as we know, right, no one has solved football yet, and um, anything can happen, as you said, with one transfer. Anything can happen in one match, one game week, which renders, apparently it renders a whole strategy right or wrong, which I
Mhm.
just completely disagree with. I think that if you just look at the outcomes of stuff, you can't appreciate that there's a lot of thought, a lot of prep, and everything that's have gone into the process of putting yourself into a position to get lucky. But yeah, it's really interesting that we've got both views here, because I'm sure that we're probably on the extremes, I would say, and that probably
Yeah.
most people watching and listening are probably somewhere in the middle. They probably lean left or right, but it's really interesting. Let us know in the chat what you think, around how you're viewing the chips this season and how they are, impacting the way you play. So, um, before we look forward, we have got a heads up for anyone who is looking for more fantasy action this weekend, because today we have just launched a brand new product, a brand new app called Fantasy Gaming Hub. It's perfect for you when you're watching games without any of your FPL picks being involved. You just open a pack, you pick 6 players and the team. It takes literally 2 minutes, and boom, you're in. Think FIFA Ultimate Team meets FPL, but faster and built for match days. As of today, it's currently only available in the UK, but it will be opened out globally very, very soon. It's free to play, and we're all competing in the Kickabout division and seeing how fast we can rise all the way to legendary in the rankings, and there are actual prizes up for grabs in the UK. So tap the link tap the link at the top to open your free pack and to join us. We do have a very quick video ad now, which Scott, if you would like to just play for everyone, take a look at this.
Let's go!
Superb stuff. It is absolutely brilliant app. It's incredibly slick and responsive as well. It's basically daily FPL. So you pick, if you've got like a match on the Friday, you pick 6 players in a team for the Friday. You then pick 6 players in a team for the teams only playing on the Saturday. Same for the Sunday, same for the Monday. Really, really good fun. Make sure you get involved. Okay, let's have a look forward. So we've got the fixture ticker now on the screen for the next 4 game weeks. This seems to be the next sort of period. Obviously, the next period between the next international break. And obviously, there's a lot of talk of chip strategy, a lot of variation as well of chip strategy in this period. I've heard lots of talk of free hit game week 4, wildcard game week 4, bench, as you mentioned, maybe game week 5. A lot of experienced players and content creators using free hit in game week 6. I'm currently looking potentially at a wild card in game week 7, maybe just to jump on that Arsenal swing as as an example. But Jack, just interested in hearing your macro level thoughts, on this, on this next period and what we should be thinking about.
Yeah, I think a lot of it depends on how you want to. I think a huge fixture is that Man City at home to Burnley game in game week 6, and I think that it's going to be very tough to not have Haaland in that game. As simple as that. I think is the best captain option that week by quite a long way. Liverpool have Palace away. Salah and Liverpool have traditionally struggled against them, especially away. So I mean that is clearly Haaland will be the best captain option that week. And I think like it depends on your team as to how you want to go about game week 6. For me personally, I think that game week 6 might be a good time to actually swap Salah out for Haaland.
Yeah.
So not use a chip. But if you look at the fixtures after that for City, I think they're a lot better than they are for Liverpool anyway.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have to wait and see what happens with Isak now, and how that affects the Liverpool attack and Salah. Because you could look at it both ways. You could say, well, Salah's been pretty poor this season anyway. Maybe he's declining a little bit. With Isak coming in, is that going to take more pressure off him from an attacking perspective? Is he going to be more sort of a creator anyway, or less important for him to be on the end of chances because you have obviously Isak there? Or you could say, well, Isak is also extremely creative. He's going to be amazing for Salah and bring him back up to that level. Who knows? But I like getting Haaland in game week 6 without using a chip. I think for a lot of teams, free hit 6 does make a lot of sense, but then you have to be comfortable with not getting Haaland back in maybe in game week 7, or maybe use a transfer anyway. I'm 100%, I think, or well, not 100%. If the team looks good, which it does right now, then I'm going to bench boost in game week 5 to sort of get it done. And I think the fixtures there are good. And I think game week 5 is a good bench boost week if you've not used it yet. Just looking at the Burnley defense in particular, if you've got Dubravka, if you've got Estev, you could wait and use it in game week 8 as well, where Burnley have another good fixture, Leeds at home, probably a slightly better fixture. But that's just a little bit too far away for me. Anything could really happen in that period, and then we have another international break as well to deal with. But yeah, right now I'm thinking with my team, bench boost game week 5, use free transfers to get Haaland in game week 6, and then free hit later on, triple captain later on when it sort of feels right. But no set plans right now.
Not a triple captain on game week 6 on that. You just mentioned you think that is a stellar.
That is a great point. Yeah, it's only because I've been thinking with my team. I've been thinking free hit or no or not free hit
Oh, of
for
course.
that
Yeah,
week. But
yeah,
yeah, you're right.
yeah.
Game week 6 is a great triple captain week
It
for
could be a good
Haaland.
one.
I just don't know. I don't know about like triple captaining. I know you did it with Wood. I've not. I don't love triple captaining a striker
I get
just
it.
because
I
it,
do get it. Yeah.
especially with these Defcon points now as well. I mean, look,
Yeah, I
the
agree.
players that
Yeah.
you're going to triple captain are unlikely to hit them, but you never know. They could. Haaland's
Yeah.
never going to hit Defcons,
No, of course not. No,
but
no.
there
I
is a
think that I
yeah.
think it's a really good point. And I was looking at Wood and thinking, if he gets a goal, he's likely to get 8 or 9 points, which I wouldn't have
Mm,
been too disheartened at, right? Using a triple, 24 or 27 points. If he'd have got the 2 goals, the maximum you can ever get from 2 goals is 13 points, which is still great. 13, 26, what's that? 39, would have been
yeah.
over the moon with that. But if someone like a Semenyo or a Salah gets a goal and an assist because of the extra points for a goal, because the clean sheet point or wherever else, they're close to getting 14 or 15. If someone like Salah hits 2 goals or a hat trick, you're talking 20 odd points, aren't you? As opposed to between 13 and 17. So I do get it definitely, and that's without Defcon. So I do think it's a good point. I just really fancied it last week, but no,
No, yeah.
I think it's fair. If Haaland scores a goal, his cap is 9 points, and that's it, right? Whereas we know for Salah, it's more than that.
Yeah.
So
Well, I triple captain Haaland last year, and I think I got 6 points. I think it was against, or maybe was that the year before? Was it last year? I think it was against like Southampton at home, and
yeah,
City won quite convincingly. But I think Haaland scored after the first inside the first 10, 15 minutes, and then that was sort
yeah,
of all he did. I can't quite remember that, but there are other options to triple captain. Triple captain is the one that I'm most likely just to play when it feels right. I mean, like City play, I think Leeds in 13.
yeah, yeah.
Sunderland in 15, I think, as well, something like that. So there are other options and other players that potentially you could use it on. But yeah, you're right. I mean, to get it done, and that is a great fixture, Burnley at home. Game week 6 could be great.
Point off FPL Freddy in the chat. Isn't there a chance Palace get a double in game week 16 and not play in 17? Is that something you
Uh,
would look at all?
no. Like if we get more information closer to it, maybe. I'm not going to hold out for like information like that. I'm not super into the fixture prediction stuff.
Yeah.
I'm more I like to know what might happen,
Mm.
but I think about it later on because I don't think there's too much value in looking through the percentages of certain games that might happen if one team wins this game and then there's a Europa League game that gets, or the Conference League game that gets reassigned or whatever because of TV. I think there's just too much for me there. When it's like the doubles later on in the season, yeah, then you know that there is 100% going to be a blank and a double because of the FA Cup. Then yeah, it's worth more attention, I think. But early season, no. I don't know. I feel like who would I triple captain? Mateta maybe. Haaland in a single game week or Salah in a single game week. I think is just as good as that probably,
Yeah, I agree. I do.
depending on the fixtures. But
I do think as well. I think there's different trains of thoughts when it comes to sort of points and strategy. It's like again, to my point this week, if I was 7 or 8 million, I'd be loath to take a hit, right? I do think there's a
mm,
massive butterfly effect of when you get your points in the season. It's like, would you rather have a guaranteed 9 points off Haaland, triple captain in game week 6, or even a guaranteed 12 points, right? Or would you rather have, for example, a 15-point double game week captain in game week 16? Now, I would argue, rightly or right, it depends how you think about the game. I would rather have the points early because I
I see.
think
Yeah.
I think the butterfly effect. I would rather have less points early because the butterfly effect of how your season plays out, I think is very, very different. I think when it's saying I would rather have more points in game week 16, but if all your moves then are played from a position of chasing for the next 9 game weeks, are you really going to make the exact 9 transfers that you would have made otherwise? I'm not so sure you would. I think that the thinking is skewed, and I think that's a kind of largely overlooked thing personally, and it's something I'm trying to address this season, definitely.
Well, no,
But yeah,
you've been saying that in other videos that we've done as well. I think that's a very good point because it is a lot easier to play when you're leading and just be sort of, well, play your own style that usually works for you. For me, that would just be like playing very solidly,
Of
not
course,
going
of
crazy,
course.
making like the optimal moves,
Yeah.
each week, rather
But
than if you were chasing, you might think, well, I mean, I'm running out of game weeks here. I've got to change something, and that could backfire on you. Yeah, you're right.
But even if you were playing solidly, right? Even if the template or the experts, including yourself, right, are ranked 7 million in game week 8 or 9, are you really going to play the exact same way, solid?
No, yeah,
Just and that's the point I'm trying to make
yeah.
is that I think that your position in the whole game, the game within the game, almost
Mm.
would would change. So, but yeah, no, it's a really good debate and conversation, and I think that why this season is so different is because we're being forced into variation. Right, there's been a traditional way to play FPL which has served engaged managers very very well over the seasons, and you're one of those. Right? I haven't done it because I struggle to play that way, but I think the variation that has come in this season allows a lot of different ways of playing. I mean, there's not really even now there's not really um, a template chip strategy, is there really?
Oh no,
If
no,
you
for
think
sure.
and
No,
at
no,
all,
no.
and that is unheard of, right?
Yeah,
No, normally it's you're going to play this in this week, you're going to play that, and that's what everyone's doing, right? Which will probably happen in the
that will
second
happen in
half of
the
the
second half.
season, but
Yeah,
not the
yeah,
first half of the season. So
yeah.
anyway, I'll stop waffling on now. But no, it's a good debate and thing to chew on. I think.
That's an interesting point about yeah, when you get your points and how important earlier points are than like later on, because starting with a good rank, it just is a lot easier, and to go from that point, it just feels a lot more comfortable. You're not chasing, but yeah, I know. Also, like it depends how you play the game. Do you want to have a good rank earlier in the season just because you feel better about it as well? Like, is all that we care about our final ranks? Because it's always weird to me. Game week 38 comes around, no one even like you don't even really check other people's final ranks after game week 38
Hey,
because the game's done. It's like
I
it's done.
can't help but think like what's the difference between being it's mainly mini leagues, right?
Yeah.
I think we as content creators, we're sort of bound to look at overall ranks because we're comparing ourselves with everyone and all the other content creators and comparing ourselves with the rest of the world, right? When really speaking, for normal managers, overall rank is not even like that that massive important. If you finish 300k, but you've won the mini league you really want to win by 100 points, you'd be far happier than finishing 70k, but you've come nowhere in any of your mini leagues. So
Mm.
I think that's what I'm coming to sort of realize this year is that do, do, do I care if I'm 100,000th at something best in the world? Like literally, I could be that at anything if I put my mind to it. I think
Oh,
I say
no, we
not
could definitely test that
sorry,
theory.
not
Definitely test
sorry.
that.
I didn't mean
Yoga.
anything. I definitely couldn't do that, mate. I did. Sorry. I said that. I didn't mean anything. I said
I'm only
I could be
joking.
100,000 best at something if I wanted to in the world. If I put my
Yeah, for
mind
sure.
to it. If I, if I wanted to. So, but what you said then is massively important. Like my enjoyment of FPL this year, and it's obviously helped. I've got off to a good start, which is a mixture of fortune, and hopefully, a few good picks. But I've enjoyed these last 3 or 4 weeks. Even the Woods triple captain failure, I didn't enjoy his failure, right? But I wasn't angry. I was
Nah, you enjoyed the
disappointed.
pick. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
enjoyed the pick. Oh my goodness, I was so excited. Like
Yeah.
excitement levels of like heart pumping levels
Yeah.
of pure excitement. I wouldn't have that triple captain in Haaland in game week 6 because I know
Mhm.
every man and his dog is doing it, or woman. Sorry, woman and her dog. But yeah, let's move on. Defcon monster. Just a quick look at these players that have either hit Defcon every week or close to hitting them every week. There seems to be 5 or 6 players. Lacroix for Palace, Senesi, Van Dijk has been by sort of far and away the highest, I think. Vandenberg was a cheap defender for Brentford, and Tarkowski. I think these are top 5 or 5 of the top 6 as well. But these extra points are massive, right? And and like I say, if you can get 6 points every week, stealthy ghost points without even thinking about it, because all these players at some points of the season are going to do like all these are good players as well, right? Especially like Palace defense, as we know, really, really strong. Van Dijk, massive attacking threat. Liverpool defence, superb. Bournemouth defence in patches has been fantastic. I think they've kept a clean sheet or two already this season. Vandenberg, Brentford, maybe not as much at the moment. Tarkowski, Everton can go on these really good defensive stretches and good attacking threat. We're not just talking about these players who are like Leeds defense, for example.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think moving forward they're going to be impactful. Elliot Anderson has been incredible. I think he's got 11 Defcons, 3 weeks on a trot. Bruno got hit Defcons in the first half, didn't he, against Arsenal, I think, as well. So yeah, just a final note on Defcon, Jack. Moving forward, how much is it going to impact your transfer strategy and wildcard strategy moving forward?
I'm actually just thinking about all these individual players and how they've accrued their points, and I think that is going to be the thing for me is really analyzing the individual player and the matches that they've actually been in so far, and whether I would have expected them to get Defcons in that match anyway, and also how the team is set up and how different that is from last year. I know I was talking about it in the introduction, but I'm still not sure how much we should be using the historical Defcon data for certain players.
Yeah,
With Van Dijk, for example, I mean, the team now is worse defensively. It's much more open, or at least it has been in the first few games, especially the first two, Liverpool, that is. So he was having to do more defending, and he was having to deal with transitions from Bournemouth. And when you look at that, you think, well, yeah, he hit a monster. I think he got over 20, or he got 20 or something in the first game week. And that, if that is going to continue, if Liverpool are going to keep playing and defending like that, then that is, is going to be very consistent with the Defcons, and that's going to be great going forward. And he was good for them last year as well. With other players like Senesi, for example, he's been very consistent with his Defcons so far this year, but he's only he's 4 or 5 ahead of his mark. I mean, that is a lot, but that includes Liverpool away and Tottenham away, two tough defensive games where you'd expect to be doing a lot of defending. The fact that he got it against Wolves at home is the interesting thing for me. Just because if he's doing that consistently against weaker teams as well, where Bournemouth are maybe dominating the ball a little bit more, then that I think is more interesting going forward. So I think for me, it's a massive factor. To come back to the actual question, it's got to be a huge factor. If you're comparing two defenders and one of them is consistently hitting Defcons, one is not, you have to go with the one that is consistently hitting Defcons. But I do think you have to look at it on like an individual basis and break down genuinely game by game how they've got their points and how the team is set up, and will that continue?
I think part of the reason why I'm gonna wildcard as well. I think all these plans are very loose, but game week 7 is the one I've currently got earmarked for wildcard, and I can't see me going without these sorts of players. I can't see me going without at least 3, maybe even 4 Defcon players, because attacking returns from defenders are great, right? Maybe sort of Munoz aside at the moment, though, there's not that many players who are actually getting them anymore. Gone are your Ivanovic's, your Trent Alexander-Arnold's, and all these sort of players. Leighton Baines penalties. There's none of those left, right? Or hardly any left. So Defcons could be the way forward. Interesting. Just a quick look at some of the hot players this week. I did find it interesting. I do like to look at the most transferred in players by FPL. Notice Isak has got over 500,000 players in each, but kind of looking on the hub, looking at predicted points, looking on X and things as well. There's a group of players who are at the fore. Munoz and Mateta. I think Palace in general, they're home to Sunderland this week, game week 4, away to West Ham in game week 5 too. Very nice fixtures. I do think their fixtures toughen up after that, but these next 2 fixtures, Palace again, just look absolutely superb, right? What a team, what a manager Glasner is.
Oh, amazing.
Absolutely incredible.
I wonder where he's going to go at the end of the season, by the way. I mean, what club is going to get him? Because he's not going to renew his contract, and I'm sure he's going to leave at the end of the season. Sorry, Palace fans, but wherever he goes, that could be amazing. But you're right. He's a top manager.
He is superb. What he's done with it's probably fair to say maybe Eze aside, and again, no disrespect to Palace fans, but probably a quite average group of Premier League players, like you know, a mid-table group of
Yeah.
players at best. What he's managed to turn, you know, Mateta into, and you know, Munoz into, and you know, all these players. Eze was, you know, superb anyway. Like Sarr, the kind of tune he's getting out of Sarr, and just, you know, Gehi,
Yeah.
like all these players, just absolutely superb as a team. But anyway, Munoz and Mateta are probably, you know, on the lips of many managers. Obviously, Lacroix as well from the Defcon points. Richard is very cheap, 4.5 million. In midfield, Sarr replacements. I saw you chatting Sarr replacements in the last week, Jack. Maybe you can just run through sort of 2 or 3 of your favourite 6 million-ish players at that point.
I'm between Paqueta on screen and Ndai as to my transfer this week. We'll come on to transfers in a bit more depth, but those are the two that I'm looking at as replacements for Sarr. I think if you have the money to go up to Semenyo, then he is a great pick, and you can just literally set him and forget him, and he's going to be so consistent. I'm leaning slightly towards Paqueta over Ndai, but partly because he is cheaper,
Yeah,
but also because of the Game Week 5 fixture, where he plays Palace at home and Dye plays Liverpool away, which
yeah,
sort of goes back to your point about getting rid of the bench boost and not having to think about it, because I'm doing that from a bench boosting perspective, which again is that like the best thing to be doing to make a transfer based on 1 week. But I have them quite close anyway.
yeah,
And if Paqueta's going to be on penalties, playing the full game,
yeah,
also, you know, it could be good for Defcons as well.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you know, we talk about like the
good
floor
shout.
and the ghost points.
Yeah.
If he's one that you can just sort of chuck in as my eighth attacker, then I'm looking at him. But yeah, I don't love like any of the options really at
Yeah.
around the 6.5 and below.
Is there anyone else this week apart from the five we've got on screen here that kind of interests you at all? Anyone else going into game week 5?
No, I don't think so. I think those are the key players. I think for the Palace boys, I think you have to get them this week or maybe not at all. I think this is
I
the
agree
entry
with that.
point. So
Yeah.
I've been looking at yeah, selling Murillo to Munoz. But Murillo then plays Burnley away, Sunderland at home, whereas the fixtures for Munoz are slightly tougher. I mean, West Ham away is not bad, Liverpool at home. I just don't know if that's worth the transfer. But yeah, it's that one with the Palace boys that you've got to get them in now. I also don't know about them from like an attacking perspective. I know the Sunderland at home game is good,
Yeah.
but with no Sarr, no Eze, they have to be weaker from an attacking point of view. I think I saw Rob T, who sort of amalgamates
Yeah.
all the you know the data, the betting odds and whatever. I think he has them predicted to score 1.6 goals this
Okay.
week, which is pretty low if you think about it. Like Sunderland at home,
Yeah.
so the only real goal threat perhaps is Mateta. I don't know. Maybe that game isn't as good as it looks on paper. Who knows? They'll probably batter them now. But yeah, apart from
Yeah.
that, I mean that's it really. And Dye would be the one I'd throw on there. I
Yeah.
think I like him slightly more than Grealish just because he's got more goal threat than Grealish.
He's on penalties as well, isn't
And
he?
on penalties, of course, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think they've got they've obviously signed Jeremy, I want to say, who looks you know, according to Palace fans, looks a nice player. Comes in at 6 million. They've got Devene and this and an essay and stuff. But you know,
Yeah.
as you say, they know Sarr and Eze, right? So you know, it will be interesting to see how they do. Saying that, Mateta, I mean, what a player! He's an absolute monster as well, and the size of him compared to everyone else
He's
on the
so
pitch,
good, yeah.
he's class. He's
Oh,
a
no,
class.
Mateta and Munoz are great picks, by the way. I'm
Agree.
just it's
Agree.
more because 'cause I'm just not sure I can get to them where I'm sort of like, you know, giving myself that comfort blanket of, like, they're not gonna do that well. We'll
Just
see.
looking up at predicted points from Fantasy Football Hub for the next 4 games. We've got Salah at the top. Salah and Haaland very close. Salah 29.5, Haaland 28.5. Both predicted to do really well over the next few weeks. Watkins, who I've held on to, hasn't done anything yet. Got excited for him this week. I think he could do okay this week against Everton. You know, even though Everton haven't improved massively, they're definitely playing a lot more attacking wise, and and leaving some space at the back. He's on 25. Semenyo 23. Bruno 23. Gyökeres, you haven't mentioned yet, 22. João Pedro 22. Mateta, Ekitike. Just quickly on Liverpool. what are your thoughts, Jack, on on Liverpool? For game week 4, how they transition then potentially to game week 5 and game week 6. How do you think the introduction of Isak is going to impact the front line?
I'm pretty sure that. Well, I don't know. I don't know in the Premier League. I think there are enough games, including the Champions League, for them to rotate and everyone to be happy.
Yeah,
So we don't really know how that's gonna yeah, like take place eventually. I think their strongest team when Isak is fit will be Salah, Isak, and Gakpo, and I think
yeah,
Ekitike will drop to the bench. That is what I think. I think Gakpo's had a strong start to the season. I think he is better than Ekitike in that left wing
yeah.
spot. So yeah, that'll be what I would imagine would happen, but I don't know. So yeah, sort of got to wait on that one as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think Isak may get sort of 50 minutes off the bench, potentially in game week 4. Game week 5 will then be interesting, as you say, because they have got the Champions League, haven't they, in between game week 4 and 5. And this is, and this is the thing. I don't know. I can't help but think, especially because of the success last year of Spurs and Man United, and Chelsea to a degree, in terms of where they got in their respective finals. There was mass rotation, right? And I can't help but think that maybe now we're going to see a bit more of that. I don't mean mass rotation, sort of 11, a different 11 for the Champions League and a different 11 in the Premier League, but these squads seem to be now building themselves up to these massive squads that they can just purely rotate. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the rotation impacts, because obviously last year they had 8 Champions League games. I look now like at the calendar, and from now I think till Christmas, all the big teams, all the teams that are in Europe anyway, now play 2 games a week from now until Christmas, more or less. I mean, you just cannot play. What's that, like 30, nearly 25 games. No matter who you are, you can't play
Yeah.
those games. So there will be reduced minutes, there will be rotation, there will be the benching and stuff. And I do wonder whether this year we are going to see a bit more pure rotation, just because there are so many more matches. But we will see.
I've actually looked at that for Joao Pedro just because I wasn't
Yeah,
sure about his minutes now with the lap out.
yeah,
This is from a Chelsea fan's point of view, not FPL. Just in terms of do we have the number 9 to play in all those games? And I think what is going to have to happen for him is he'll have to go Saturday, midweek Saturday, but then he'll get the following midweek
yeah,
off, whether it's League Cup or then international break, and that's okay for a while. So I think
yeah,
he'll be playing roughly 2-3 games a week, but then you do get a rest. So I think the key players will still play the majority of Premier League minutes and then get that League Cup off.
yeah.
But yeah, as you said, like with Liverpool now, there's obviously going to be rotation between Isak and Ekitike, probably Gakpo as well, maybe even Salah. Who knows?
Maybe Verts potentially as well. We don't know,
For
but
sure, Verts. I think he has to be. Yeah,
yeah, because like, how can they drop Soboslai? Like, Bradley's back now fit, and we had a call this morning trying to look at the teams, and you're like, who do you drop out of McAllister, Gravenberch, and Soboslai, or Verts, or Bradley? Surely
yeah,
played right back. You're guessing. It's just there's going to be forced rotation, and this is
yeah.
what I mean about they're building the squads up so strongly now that one or two of these players are going to have to be benched, So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Rich, just to say that Rich Clarke's Rich against the machine pick this week looks like it would have been Paqueta. So maybe he's the one, Jack, for you for this week. Let's have a quick look at the Hub AI best game week for free hit team. So plenty of teams, managers free hitting this week. Pope in goal, double Palace defense of Munoz and Richard. We've just been saying how fantastic they look. Virgil van Dijk and Dan Burn, who plays Wolves. Salah captain, Semenyo and Dango. The AI loves Dango. Honestly,
Yeah, I keep
loved
getting
him
shoved
everywhere.
Dango down my throat, and I'm not sure if
Yeah,
I'm missing something or not. But he's looked good since he's
looks
moved.
sharp, mate.
Yeah, he's
Does look
very
sharp.
sharp.
He is. I just don't like their fixtures. I think the
No.
next three are quite tough. And then Haaland, Mateta, and Evan Nielsen. I think it's quite hard to argue with maybe any of those picks. Is there any obvious omission there? Maybe Watkins, but again, he hasn't scored all season. So
Yeah, it would just be that. Well, I probably wouldn't have Dango in there. It's in
yeah,
the most interesting thing about that team is that it's gone for a 4-3-3.
yeah, definitely, yeah,
Like, I mean, that's not something we've not really talked about too much, but with these defensive contribution points, could that be the way forward? I saw Rich actually in the chat earlier said, if I wildcard later, then maybe I can build a team full of Defcon monsters that we know are consistently going to hit it most weeks. And I was thinking,
yeah,
wow, I mean, that is like going back to your point, if you can get that sort of guaranteed 10-ish, 12 points per week on top of like your actual sort of general normal FPL score, I mean, that is ridiculous. So
it is.
yeah,
And there
we'll
are
have to
players who can
see.
make it happen, right? Like Van den
Mm,
Berg, for example, is he's 4.5 million, and maybe you wouldn't play him every week, but Brentford are going to go through a good spell. They are going to have a period of good fixtures as well. It's not like they're all super expensive. Richards is 4.5. He's pretty good at DEFCON as
yeah.
well. So yeah, interesting. And just a quick look as well at the HBA Best Game Week for wildcard team, because seen quite a lot of wildcards activated as well this week. It's got Vicario and Davrabka as the keepers. Munoz, Richards, Virgil. It's gone for Romero and Goodmanson. Interesting. We were chatting about Porro this morning. So I've got Porro in my team at the moment. I think I'll be wild carding him out while Spence and Udogi are both fit, because there were periods of last year. I'm a Spurs fan, so I was looking for this closely. And there were periods last year that when all three were fit, Porro was missing out, because Spence can play left, right, and right back. And I think last week, Udogi came on left back, Spence was over to right back, and Porro went off bench. I think
Yeah.
that's going to happen. I think as good as a pick that Porro is, I do think there's a massive rotation risk with him moving forward now, particularly again as we move into Europe. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's benched in this next week or two. I say that as an owner and a Spurs fan, so I
Yeah, good
wouldn't I
point.
wouldn't be buying Porro.
Okay.
Midfield of Salah, Semenyo, Bruno, Defcon monster Bruno, Dango, and Dewsbury Hall. Obviously, Dewsbury Hall came up trumps for owners last week, and then Mateta, Watkins, and João Pedro. So this wildcard team looks at a 5-week horizon. I'm probably guessing it's going to do the Salah to Haaland move in game week 6, as you suggested, Jack, which does seem a very natural move there. So yeah, thoughts on that team. Looks pretty good, I think.
Yeah, very strong team. Again, I'm just not sure that I could a wild card right now with the lack of information that I feel that I have. I think a few of those players in there though, I think would be in wild cards consistently. I mean,
I think
players
so.
like a Richards, at least one of Richards and Munoz. I think going
Yeah,
forward, they look very solid.
yeah,
Despite like, it doesn't really matter what's going on in the fixtures. Bruno 100% would be in any wild card of mine. I think he is the
really.
exact sort of player you were describing earlier in
He's
terms
your
of like.
pick, mate, and he.
No, you know what? He's actually not. He's not. He is like most boring managers' picks. He's not my pick. I normally go against him, and that has been sort of my edge over the last couple of years when the United fans have still been watching him more closely and thinking he's still so good, which he has been really good, but the team's been rubbish. So I've been sort of going against him, but he is such a boring analytics sort of template pick. But I mean, this season more than ever. Like if he can keep getting those DEFCON points and he's looking all right, playing a little bit deeper anyway, and on penalties, I mean, he'd be in my team for sure. Watkins is the only one. I mean, Dango, I wouldn't have in my team for the reasons you said.
Yeah,
Watkins, exactly. Like if I wildcarded this week, I would struggle not to put Watkins in, but he's been and Villa have been terrible. So I just don't know enough about key players like him yet to
yeah,
like. Do you go Jokeres or Watkins? Or neither? Do you drop it down? I don't know. I don't know enough. But yeah, it looks all right. I fear that in a couple of weeks you might be thinking, well, I need another chip.
yeah. Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. But yeah, nice team, I think. It makes sense at this point. But to your point, you're absolutely right. In 3 weeks, it made it very different. Mind that
Yeah.
as you say, there are players performing really well at the moment, but they've had good fixtures. They may drop off, and vice versa. The team who are coming into fixtures now in game week 4, 5, 6, and 7. May suddenly see this burst. So interesting period, interesting team. I think I'm still not sure on Bruno. I like Bruno when he's I like Bruno when he's got the good fixtures. I just can't look at what's his next three: City, Chelsea. I just can't look at these next two and get excited. All right, he might get a penalty, but other than that, I can't see him getting anything at all. He's even lost a lot of corners to
His
Mbeumo
floor
as
is
well.
4 though. City away, his floor is it's got to be 4.
Yeah, four,
I mean, that
four,
is just
four.
great.
Well, yeah, bro. I want more than that, mate. I want more than 4
That's
points.
before
But
anything else has happened.
I get your point. Yeah, I'm contradicting myself now, aren't I? Because
Yeah,
earlier on I
well,
was saying how
so am
how
I a little bit as well, to be fair. I don't like Bruno. Can't be a defensive midfielder, but I don't know. 9 million defensive midfielder.
Exactly. If he fits in with your team, if you're going for Salah or Haaland and you're not missing out on anyone, obviously at the moment we haven't got Saka or Palmer really as picks. And I think
Yeah,
that
that's a good
makes a
point.
difference.
That's a good point.
If Saka or Palmer was available and on form,
Mm.
having good fixtures, I think it'd be a different conversation. But he's a bit of a no-brainer at this, at this moment.
Yeah.
Fergie is a punt for game week 4. We haven't mentioned this player at all yet.
Wow.
Interestingly, and he's very much a punt on my side. So he moved clubs in the transfer window. I always thought he's a very good player, young player. Well, I say young. He seems to have been around for a long, long time. But whenever he's played, he's done really well. Very attacking. It's just signed for a team. I think he goes straight in the team, and I think he can have a massive impact. I'm hoping he's going to help my Watkins pick of next 3 game weeks. But if you haven't guessed yet,
Wow.
5.4 million. Harvey Elliott is my punt, absolute punt, complete for the next 3 weeks. But why he's a punt is, if you get on him early, if he plays this week, they're playing a dodgy defensively Everton side. If Harvey Elliott goes, has a stormer and gets a goal, which is not outside the realms of possibility at all, right? He'll be everyone's transferred in, for game week 5 and potentially into game week 6 because of his price as well. So I think he could be, if you're looking for a player who is going to be incredibly low owned, but who has got a lot of potential upside over his next 2 to 3 weeks. He could be a better option than Paqueta for.
Well, this is
bench
literally what I'm just thinking here. Is like,
I can see you, bro. I can see the
yeah, I
cog
know, and I
turning.
have considered him a little bit. It's just not my style, and it's
No,
just
of course, of
I
course,
don't have the guarantees of the things that I need from FPL picks
of
to
course.
go
You'd
with
have
him.
90-minute penalty taking Paqueta, which I
Yeah,
completely get. Whereas I'm more on there. But you know what? If Harvey Elliott kicks off, think of the rank gains you can get.
the
So
fixtures are so good as well. You're right.
I like Elliott. I think if you're punting, I think if you are looking for a punt, I think
Yeah.
Elliott is a great shout for these next 3 weeks. So he is my punt for the next couple of game weeks. Just a quick look at the captaincy this week, and I think for the first time since game week 1, actually, we have an outstanding contender going on the polls on Fantasy Football Hub. Salah 59% of the vote. Haaland rightfully 19%. I'm still not sure who I fancy out of the. I think it's incredibly tight.
That is
Haaland,
close.
fresh off the back of what was it, 5 goals and 2 assists midweek 5. He says 5. But he's looked incredibly good this season. His XG and everything is markedly above Salah's on the opening 3 game weeks. Ekitike and Mateta and Gyökeres the rest, but it's mainly the front 2 and it's mainly Salah. So top of predicted points as well, 8.1. Haaland second on 7.2. Mateta 6.7. Munoz, very, very rare you see a defender. I mean, goodness, in the top 4 for predicted
I
points
like
for
it.
the game week. But I mean, that's mental. Semenyo, Gyökeres in there as well. So who will your captain pick be this week? And I also want to know, Jack, who objectively, if you were just to have no skin in the game, who would be your captain pick as well?
I was just thinking about that. I was thinking if I had Salah and Haaland, who would I captain?
Based on no EO. So this is based
Yeah,
on no skin in the game. I think it's really close, actually. I do.
Oh, it is close. That is tough. I think I still would go Salah, just because if they score the same number of goals, then Salah will get more points. But I think that is close. I'm going to captain Salah, but I don't have Haaland or Mateta or Munoz, so it's pretty simple decision for me.
Yeah, of course. I'm not going to spoil. We'll touch on our teams next. I'll reveal my captain then. But I'm making a transfer based on captaincy this week, and based on the kind of state of the game within the game we were on about earlier. So I'll touch on that in a bit. I just fancy Haaland to do well. But United just have got these knacks, haven't they, of turning up in these massive games, and killing the game. I can see it being like, I don't know, 0-0 or 1-1, maybe. I don't really know, but we'll see. Let us know in the chat who your captain is. I think Scott has just put up a vote. We've got 54 votes already.
I voted for Salah.
Salah is currently ahead on that vote, 63%. Haaland second on 21%. Good stuff. And just as you mentioned earlier, Rob T's picks from Solio Analytics thinks that Liverpool are going to score the most goals this week, followed by Arsenal home to Forest. I'm not sure. I agree with that. I know there's this whole thing. Like, everyone thinks that Postecoglou's going to go into Forest.'s going to have them all camped on the halfway line. I mean, he's not going to do that in his first game away to Arsenal, right? He's just going to go in for the first kind of week or two and just get to know everyone and whatever. I mean, it's his first day to day, right? I think it'd be a close game. I think it'd be a good game, is what I'm saying. I didn't really know until this morning, actually, that Burnley, I think, have had the most shots against them so far this season. So that has, kind of tipped me in favour of Liverpool there. City just behind with 2. Newcastle home to Wolves with 2 there as well. As you mentioned earlier, Palace 1.69, Chelsea 1.81, Spurs 1.6. Bournemouth 1.5, so interesting. And then top of the clean sheet odds, they're all incredibly close between Arsenal, Liverpool, Palace, and Newcastle are all tipped for clean sheets this week. Just a final reminder, if you haven't already, for anyone looking for more fantasy action this weekend, we've just launched something brand new called Fantasy Gaming Hub. It's perfect for when you're watching games, though any of your FPL picks involved. You just open a pack, 6 players, and a team. It takes literally 2 minutes, and boom, you're in. Think FIFA Ultimate Team meets FPL, but faster and built for match days. It's currently UK only. Will be opened out globally very, very soon. It's free to play, and we're all competing in the kickabout division. So see how fast we can rise all the way to legendary, and there are actual prizes up for grabs as well. So tap the link to open your free pack and join us. Jack, we've got your team now on screen.
Wow,
for this coming week.
what a team it is!
What a masterpiece! Hang it in the Louvre, as they say. But do you want to talk us through your teams and plans, mate?
Yeah. So very happy with the goalkeepers, Sanchez and Dubravka. I should have had 3 clean sheets, but I hedged a little bit and I played Sanchez and I played Esteve in game week 2, so that's fine. Anderson, I'm very happy with. I think it was between him and Richards for that 4.5 million slot, and I think they're both all right. Probably should have gone with Richards, but that's okay. Porro, yes, maybe slightly concerning actually now based on what you've said, but I'm not looking to transfer him out anytime soon until I actually see that rotation. Then yeah, it'll have to be done. Murillo and Williams, they are the interesting ones now. They have been big letdowns so far. My big thing was going for Forest defensively, despite the fact that they overperformed their expected goals conceded by quite a lot last year. I thought the fixtures were good enough, and Murillo especially was good enough from a Defcon point of view to just play in these first 6 games, then reassess. Now, Murillo to Munoz is actually my AI recommended transfer, or at least it was when I checked yesterday. So that is an interesting move. But no, my thought with Murillo before the season started, looking at this game in particular, was that, he's probably not going to keep a clean sheet, but he's definitely going to hit Defcons. So I'm looking at, 3 or 4 points. That's okay. Now I've got no idea if that's going to happen or not, but we will see. My theory is probably out the window there. But yeah, either I move him on to Munoz, but I think I'll probably get rid of Sarr instead. I think that's more pressing. Midfielders, I'm pretty happy with. The only real issue there is Wirtz, but I'm not going to sell him before those 2 fixtures.
Agree,
yeah, no way. Reiner's, I think he's just going to tick along. I think he's a great player. Joao Pedro, great. I'm really happy to own him. Wood, not good for this week. My plan was to bench him this week and play Sarr, which as you can see would have been fine. Then get him back in for 5 and 6. But so I still think I probably will bench him for my Sarr replacement. And then Watkins is the one again. Like I'm not gonna sell him before these fixtures, but it's just looked really poor. But overall, I think the team is actually all right, and it will look a lot better after I make this transfer and take either Wood or Murillo, but probably Wood out of the starting 11. And it looks good for Game Week 5, where I'm going to bench boost.
I think you've got a solid team there, mate. And I think in João Pedro and Semenyo, you've already got 2 of the top 5 transferred players in this week. You'd probably bring in another as well. So I think your team looks in really good shape. I really do. I think your moves are sound as well. You just haven't had the luck yet, and that's all I think.
Well, yeah, you know what? Now that I'm sort of I'm feeling a little bit better about my team. This has helped me
Good, good,
sort of be a
mate.
bit more positive. Yeah.
Good. Quick look at my team. I've got a bit of money in the bank from moves I've done over the last week or two. I'm going for Sanchez in goal at the moment. I've got Nori, who to the point I made right at the start, I brought Nori in for a game week from bench. I didn't really think I would keep him, and obviously got injured and stuff. But I like 2 of the next 3 games. Home to United this week, I like from an attacking view as well, and obviously home to Burnley in game week 6. I think it'd be a differential there. Double Spurs defense against West Ham. Not sure. I thought Spurs were exceptional in the first 2 because he did early to Bournemouth, but I'm hoping they can keep a clean sheet. I'm a bit concerned by Porro as well, as you say. There, I'm not entirely sure, but I don't think I'm going to replace him for either Milenkovic or obviously similar dilemma to you in terms of Murillo, and Decopa's been a bit of a letdown so far, and the fixtures have turned as well. At the moment,
sorry to interrupt. What was your assessment of Tottenham against Bournemouth? Obviously, after like such a flying start, is it just that Bournemouth are good, or did something go a bit wrong there?
I don't think Spurs did an awful lot going forward. I think they're solid, and I think when you're solid, you do have to sort of compromise a bit up front. I thought Bournemouth were excellent. I do think that Bournemouth going forward will continue to be excellent as well. I really like holding Semenyo. Trophée, the left back, cheap. I think he should be really good as well. Senesi for Defcon as well. Evan Nielsen moving forward. I just think their fixtures are okay at the moment. Where they got Brighton, Newcastle, and Leeds. I think they're fine for Semenyo. I think he still is their sort of standout pick. But Spurs maybe an off day. But I'm not overly keen on the double Spurs at the back, particularly with the rotation risk to Porro, because I do think that Porro is benched. He'll come on as well. So, there's a 1 point of weight in there. Midfield as it stands, Semenyo, Gakpo, who I've had from the start, Reinders and Kudus. And to your point earlier, which you mentioned there, Jack, I think I'm excited about having Gakpo and Kudus. So I think 2 players who are low owned, and if they do kick on, like Gakpo did, with his 2 lucky assists against Newcastle, but that 11 points that he got in that game, or 10 points, moved me forward massively, so I'm really, really happy to hold him. I've got Palmer still, so I didn't sell Palmer because I got Wood in last week. And I've got Watkins, João Pedro, and Wood. So my initial thoughts, and I need to give this a lot more thought because I don't know if I really want, especially now that Postecoglou has gone into Forest, I really want Wood for game week 5 and game week 6. I took out Ekitike for Wood, which again I stand by. I think it was a fine move. I still had Gakpo, so I was fine with that. But I think now the game within the game, I think it's time for me to bring in Salah, and it's because
you're bottling it.
I don't.
I think is very sensible. I think you'd be a little bit naive, but I don't know the exact word. Stubborn, perhaps, to not then go back, because this is what I like about your strategy. You're not wedded to it 100%.
I didn't not go for Salah because I just wanted to be anti-Salah, right?
Yeah,
I didn't like Salah's fixtures in game week 2 and game week 3, which is why I was willing to risk game week 1. I'm not willing to spend 2 weeks behind the settee against Burnley and Everton because it's horrible. It is horrible watching Salah when you're not owning him. Whoever he's played, it was horrible against Newcastle. Not so much against Arsenal last week. I mean, his form is concerning. I don't think he had a shot on target again. Either against Newcastle or Arsenal. I don't think.
No,
I don't think he had a shot in one of them. But this is Burnley, who concede a lot of shots, and Everton, who have, as they are being a bit more attacking now, will leave gaps at the back. So he's a 90. As I've been reminded in in all these opening matches, right? So I've gone against Salah and Bruno in these opening three. Salah scored in the 94th minute.
Yeah.
Salah got an assist in the 99th minute, and Bruno got the penalty in the 96th. These are why they're exceptional FPL picks, is because they play 90 minutes. There's always chance at the end where teams are on the break. You know, in that Newcastle game, Jack, when when Pope came up for the corner, and I just had visions of Alisson catching the ball, checking out on Salah back into an empty net, and just thinking all that for that. It didn't happen, thankfully. But I think the time is right now. I think I'll captain Salah in Game Week 4 and Game Week 5. It's how I get to him, right? So I've got Palmer, which is great. So my very, very early initial thoughts are Palmer to Salah. I need to release 1.7 million, and I'm thinking of going wrongly, and I'll get shouted at by Rich and probably the chat as well. Wood at the moment down to Mark Gue. Now, Mark Gue is one of the most transferred out players this week, and I'm transferring him in. But what it'll do, it'll give me a lot of flexibility moving to Game Week 5 and 6. I definitely want to do the Salah out to Haaland move in Game Week 6 as well. So it gives a bit of money there, a bit of flexibility. The other things I can do are maybe move Aït-Nouri down to like a 4.3 or something along those lines. But I actually really fancy Aït-Nouri. I like the fact he's differential. I like the fact he's home in both Game Week 4 and Game Week 6. And I could keep Wood. So that's the other thing I'm thinking is Aït-Nouri down, I think, to like a 4.3. No one really stands out in that bracket is the only thing I'd say. If I could squeeze to a Richards, for example, I'd be loving it, but I just can't. I'm just out of reach there. So I can go to like a Goodman son and play, but it means that I'm playing Milenkovic or Dakopa or so, and I don't really want to play those. So I need to give it some more thought, but hit this week. If I do keep Wood, obviously I'll definitely play him in Game Week 5 and Game Week 6. And then Salah to Haaland, double switch them for Game Week 6. And it's because I've got a 20-point or 30-point lead over the pack is why I'm happy to take a hit. I would loathe to take a hit if I was 20, 30 points behind, back to the point we're making all the way through. So, what are your thoughts on that, mate?
Yeah, that is a good hit, in my opinion, because you're bringing in the best captaincy option for that week, and there's no other way. You can't get to Salah without taking that hit, and you've already got the points banked, as you said, so you can take that hit. So I definitely would do that. I'm just thinking, it depends if you want to play Reinders every week, which I think you would play him most weeks. Just looking at his fixtures,
I'm happy for 4 and 6. And like I said, I think a wildcard in 7 anyway.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, exactly. Because I'm just thinking of you obviously then going from 8 attackers to 7 if you got in Mark Gue. But it looks good. And then you bank the cash. I can't see a better move in terms of keeping Wood and selling someone. I mean, you could do that. It depends how much you rate Wood for 5 and 6.
Well, I really do for 5 and 6. This is why I'm contemplating now going against Aït-Nouri. Maybe I might take Aït-Nouri out for a 4.3. I need to have a look. Let me know who the best 4.3, or as Posh Rods in the chat just said, can you do a 5.5 million down to a 3.9? But I don't think there is a 3.9. I think that's the problem, or like a 3.8 or whatever it would be, because I did look at Milenkovic out. Either that, right, or I play super aggressive and maybe stupid aggressive, but I don't mind doing something like Aït-Nouri.
Here we go. Come on.
Aït-Nouri to Munoz.
Ooh.
Milenkovic to Richards.
Oh, I see. Wow.
And doing a -8.
Yeah.
It's almost a mini wild card. But and that way I get to keep Wood. Got a fantastic team the next 3 game weeks. That's something else I can consider. But I don't know if I want to take a -8. But like I say, state of game, even take a -8, I'm still above the pack. I'm still ahead of the pack in terms of the curve. So these are the options I give myself. I won't feel too bad about it. But Aït-Nouri to Munoz, Milenkovic or Porro to, well, it'd be Porro. I think I do Porro out. I think just because of the rotation risk.
Yeah.
To like, well, whoever really, a Richards, and then I can keep Wood.
You could do. The only thing you could do is do. Oh no, you still can't get there. Yeah, you're 0.1 short of
0.1 short
defender.
Yeah,
like even if you went Porro down, I don't think you can get there if you want to sell him this week. But yeah, I don't know. The problem is that you're selling Aït-Nouri for United at home, which I think is a good fixture. And then you get that Burnley home game, which is great. and then Wood for Burnley and Sunderland. But you do need to get Salah in. So,
but also, is it Norrie going to play every single game?
yeah,
With
exactly.
Europe and all this stuff as well, there's always I mean, Diaz was benched last week, right? Ruben Diaz out of the blue, which was annoying. So just food for thought. But yeah, Salah in is the strategy. So my kind of overarching strategy now is I've got the lead I want,
Yeah.
consolidate, play sensibly. Burnley and Everton. If it was one game, I probably wouldn't do it because it's 2 games back to back, and then I'll have Haaland in game week 6. I'm happy to do it. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, this has been one of our longer episodes, but it's been an
Oh,
absolutely
sorry about that.
No, mate, not you. It's both of us having an absolutely fantastic chat. I really, really enjoyed it. But yeah, that is it from us for this week. Thanks to everyone who joined in the chat. Those going to watch it back and those listening on the podcast versions, your support is very, very much appreciated. Just a note on the podcast versions moving forward. We are upgrading. I think from next week, we're upgrading, but we will be changing the Green Arrow podcast channel to the Fantasy Football Hub podcast channel, and we will be including the audio from all Jack's videos that he has with Abdul Bakar and Jan and everyone else on those as well. So a massive upgrade, which is going to be superb from next week forward. Jack, absolutely delighted to have you on. It's been great chat. It's normally you asking me the questions.
I know, it's nice.
Side of the fence, on the other side of the fence. But
well, thank you for having me. It's been great.
Thank you so much, honestly. It's been an absolute pleasure. Great to have you. We'll definitely have you on again. How can people find you, mate?
Just on the channel. Just subscribe to the channel, I would say. If you guys watching right now don't always watch the videos, you watch the Green Arrow but not the videos, then just subscribe to the channel on YouTube, turn notifications on, and then you'll be notified when I post a video. I'm doing a game weekly series this year as well on the channel, which is off to quite a slow start in terms of my rank, but hopefully it will get better, about just my team as well. So yeah, if you want to follow along with my team this year, then just subscribe to the channel. But subscribe to the channel anyway, so you don't miss another one of these live streams.
Exactly. Jack is a fantastic host and a fantastic manager as well. Jason Stilling in the chat says, "Keep hitting Fergie until you're behind the curve." That is about right. I think if I was to have my own podcast with just me, it would be called Behind the Curve. Is probably what it would be called. But this podcast and video will be on the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel. The podcast version is available on all major podcast platforms. If you like what you watched, you haven't already, I mean, really, please press the like button. And remember to subscribe to the channel in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. If you enjoyed your listen, please rate the podcast, leave us 5 stars, and leave a comment. We really appreciate it. We'll be back next week with Rich looking ahead to game week 5. He's back from his balcony next week. In the meantime, have a fantastic game week 4, and may all your arrows be green. Good night, all.